Okay, Ryan. First, I'm going to start off by giving you some technical and formatting um, instruction. First, when I look at the top of your front page, here's what I'd like to see. Upper left-hand corner, your name, my name, English Language Arts 3, and then the date written in the format of 20 October 2014. The reason I say 20 October is because this is actually going to be due on October 20th. An MLA format calls for the date first, then the month, and then the year. On the upper right-hand corner of each page, I'll be looking for your last name and the page number. So on page 1, it would be Bailey 1, page 2, Bailey 2, and so on until you've completed the paper. Centered in the middle of the paper, just below the left-hand column, I'm looking for a title that draws me in and makes that something that I want to read, but also relates to the paper. Obviously, I know you're going to take your disclosure out, but in case you weren't going to, it does need to be removed. Your first line is pretty good. In his novel, Moby Dick, you will want to italicize and hyphenate this because you're talking about the novel. Herman Melville uses literary, not literary, but make sure you check spelling, elements to demonstrate the dark side of American Romanticism or Gothic literature. I would say rather than putting Gothic literature, give me a characteristic of American Romanticism. So evil, insanity, power of darkness, um, supernatural, something like that. In the book, and you'll want to make sure you spell out the word Captain Ahab of the Pequods on the hunt for a whale who took his leg, the legendary evil whale named Moby Dick. I think that sentence is great. You will maybe mention something, or should maybe mention something about the fact that it was supposedly a routine whaling voyage, but that Captain Ahab deceived his crew. I think it's fine that you add the fact that they eventually are all capsized by the whale, the boat is, and everyone dies, with the exception of Ishmael. And again, I need you to spell out captain. But I would also mention something like Herman Melville is able to demonstrate Captain Ahab's regard for Moby Dick as evil, which is revealed through diction, imagery, and symbolism. So go ahead and re-mention the author. Don't even have to say his name specifically. You say the author is able to demonstrate Captain Ahab's regard for Moby Dick as evil, and then mention your three literary elements. I do think that you have a good starting line here. The use of diction in the story helps exemplify the reason of persuasion of Captain Ahab to the crew. Or you could say something along the lines of the use of diction is used to exemplify the persuasion of Captain Ahab to the crew. Persuasion is spelled incorrectly, so check that. A dead whale or a stove boat. I would suggest that you maybe integrate this into the sentence better. So you might, instead of putting your exclamation point, put a comma and explain how this example of diction reveals that either they kill Moby Dick or die trying. I will say that you do need to put your in-text citation after the quote. Otherwise, it's actually considered a form of plagiarism, so make sure you get that in-text citation there. Again, Death and Demons, man, I'm not sure if it's Death and Demons or Death and Devils. You might want to check that one more time. But again, this reveals that Moby Dick is a demon who brings death. That makes sense. It helps persuade them. That's great. I'm starting to see a similar structure where you have quote, explanation, and then down here, quote, explanation. Let's look at that syntax variety. Make sure that you're kind of switching things up. Maybe start with an explanation and end with the quote. So another example helps show the statement of, or helps show that the whale will only bring death when, and then you might say when Captain Ahab refers to Moby Dick as the jaws of death. Put your in-text citation after that, and then you've changed the variety up, which adds interest for the reader. These examples of diction show the spitting truth of either death at sea or victory, the latter being least likely to happen. And that's a fine way to end your paragraph. Again, right here, imagery also helps show the evilness of Moby Dick by showing we know it's a male whale, features to the reader. That's fine. I believe you meant Ahab here when Ahab described Moby Dick as a whale with a wrinkled brow, crooked jaw. In-text citation is needed. It shows that Moby Dick is evil, being with very evil-like appearance. Go ahead and use the thesaurus to maybe look up some synonyms for evil so that you're not reusing that so many times. But I do appreciate that you started off with a different beginning type sentence and then added in your quote later. But again, remember you need to put your in-text citation. Let's see. I'm not sure what this was also made Ahab seem hopeless. It looks like there's some subject-verb agreement issues there, so let's check that. Shown with the line, he smites his chest, it rings vast but hollow. You need your in-text citation. Again, if he smites his chest and it rings hollow, it may seem as if that Ahab has no heart. So you may use that as a way to prove that Captain Ahab is truly the one that's evil and not Moby Dick. And then again, you go on to describe the hopelessness that comes with his lost leg. So this means he was hopeless because he lost his leg in such a large whale. I'm not sure that that goes with this chest comment, or if you meant it to go down here about the dead stump. Either way, let's make some sort of connection between those so it doesn't just seem like a random explanation. In-text citation needed here. He lost his leg and that is now dead, which correlates with hopelessness. That's fine. Moby Dick is portrayed in the story as evil, even a demon of the point. I feel like this last sentence is just added in there. Let's go ahead and connect it back here by maybe mentioning that with Captain Ahab's loss of his leg, he continues to breed obsession with Moby Dick, considering that he is the one who took it from him. Something to that effect. Symbolism plays a large role in the story. You've started each paragraph pretty similarly. I would mention something about in addition to or in a correlation with the imagery and diction. Symbolism also plays a large role in the story, which really focuses on Ahab's want for revenge. You need your in-text citations for each of these. They're fine. The vengeance will fetch a premium here. That's fine. He'll be truly complete. What does that actually symbolize is what I would like to know. So why is vengeance fetching a premium a symbol for something? So explain that a little further. The sun insulted me. You're right. He's vengeful toward anything that's against him, that opposes him. I'm a little concerned about this use of symbolism with the bubble. The bubble is more of just a look at if Moby Dick approaches, we'll see the bubbling in the water. So if he's saying even if you see one bubble, call out so that we can attack Moby Dick. You may choose to change that out if you can't connect it somehow to symbolism, because he's not really threatened by a bubble. He's just saying that if you see a bubble, then that means that there's a whale. Some other symbols are the gold, the prison wall, Starbucks sanity versus Ahab's insanity. So those are things that you may look at. As far as your conclusion goes, remember I'm going to be looking for a restated version of your thesis first, a brief summary of the statements that you've made in your paper, and then a final thought. And your final thought may be something about how Ahab has gone crazy or mad to allow the reader to end on that final point. We know what the conclusion of the story is. If you have questions or concerns, or you're unclear about my instructions, please do not hesitate to find me. Your final product is due October 20th, so find me before then and we will work on it together. All right, have a great day.